And whatever you do, don't let it fall into the wrong hands.
Hello and welcome to The Wrong Hands, your beginner's D&D podcast. This recap is going to let you know what the storyline has been like for the players you'll hear in episode 1 of this podcast. But not every episode is going to be about the same group. There'll be some episodes that are about groups who are just starting their campaign, and some episodes about groups who are a few sessions in, and some about groups who are quite a few sessions in. But you may notice there's something about the groups and their sessions that feels familiar. See if you can figure out what it is. Anyway, on with the recap. It might be fun to remember all the cool shit that you've done.
So this is a full recap?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
It'll take like 4.5 minutes. Yeah. Okay, here we go. You came to consciousness in a subterranean basement tied to the walls. Yeah, that far back. A dwarf paladin named Bob, a half-orc rogue named Kumbooble. So let's do Bob. What do you sound like?
Hi.
Nice. And Kumbooble?
Hi, mate.
These fantasy creatures have all come from roughly the same part of London. A human sorcerer named Mal, who is not here, but here in spirit, and a human wizard who goes by Jay. We'll get there. You soon found your way to Tor's Tavern, which served as the entrance to the gambling caves you'd just escaped. A strange man in dark clothing and a wide-brimmed hat offered you a job, with the promise of gold or the ability to change your past as a reward. He said he'd had dreams about something called the pencil, and wanted you to retrieve it for him. After an abortive attempt to rob the tavern and possibly take over its operation, you had a change of heart and left on shaky ground with Tor, except for Bob, who was mediocre friends with him, the proprietor. You took up lodgings at a competing tavern nearby and met Blue, the human bard, who had additional information about the pencil, claiming he'd heard someone in Rook's Crossing had information at a tavern called the One-Eyed Git. Before setting off, you met Jen, the owner of R.I.P. Jen, the owner of the local general store. A cheerful gnome, he asked you to check out the strange tar residue and dead plant life to the east of the hollow. You found the tar residue began at a cabin on the edge of town. Inside the cabin, you found nothing other than a black wide-brimmed hat that Blue claimed for his own. You followed the tar to a nearby cave filled with ghasts. Further into the cave, you found what looked to be a rip in the fabric of space, guarded by an otherworldly hound. The new addition to your group, Blue, quickly befriended the creature, who then followed Blue and defended him vigorously. Stepping through the rip in space, you discovered an ancient temple. A voice called you to the center of the temple, and a glassy tar-like substance in like a fountain. Blue was the first to reach in and touch the liquid, causing it to leap onto his skin and disappear into his flesh. I realized we haven't actually referenced that much recently. That means that you have advantage on intimidation checks when you're touching someone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you remember? I totally forgot about that. After returning to the hollow, claiming some gold, the undead rose from the ground and attacked the town. Kirby, the man in dark clothing, intervened and told you to leave to find the pencil. You went south to Rook's Crossing. It seemed an uneventful town other than the huge amount of ravens. Kumbooble discovered that the One-Eyed Git was a chapter of the Thieves Guild, and with Thieves' Cant written across the doorway, instructing guests to behave. After Bob proved his might in the One-Eyed Git, causing his opponent to wet himself, the proprietor, who named the pub after herself, struck a deal with you for information on the pencil and maybe other things. You set out west to find a treasure concealed in a desert temple. You found it seemingly dedicated to this one guy, as there were many statues of him. You made your way through the temple, retrieved a copper compass that didn't point north, and braces that make you charismatic. You bargained with the proprietor to get information on the pencil. You forgot this? You were all here for this session, right?
Yeah.
That one? Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that?
Yeah.
All the things you were
You
talking
sold
about.
it.
No.
Braces.
No.
Braces.
Not the braces are the things you traded, because that's what she asked you to get.
Oh, right, yeah.
She asked you to get them, and so you were like, oh, alright, we'll give them to you.
we sold them straight away.
Feel free to jump in at any point. This is like a trip down memory lane.
Okay, I thought I didn't want to chip in because it sounds like you're doing.
No, go for it. I want it to be as organic as possible.
Okay, cool.
You bargained with the proprietor for information on the pencil and 2 other oddities nearby: the rumors of a dragon and a magical bakery. The magical bakery. The magical bakery turned out to be a hag's lair.
I've still got pie.
You've still got one?
I've still got pie.
Oh, the
Still
dream
got
cake.
pie.
Are you the only 2 people that have dream cakes? Oh, wow.
I sold mine.
I think also Kumbooble still has a wish.
Yeah, I still have a wish.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I'm not for that wish.
I know, I keep forgetting and remembering. Anyway, the magical cakes she was supplying to Rook's Crossing were highly addictive. You then freed the children she'd captured in lieu of payment. Soon after, you found the dragon the rumours spoke of and discovered he was a patron of the arts. Although you could tell he was hiding something, you realised you weren't quite strong enough to take anything from him yet. The One-Eyed Git's information led you to the venomous copse to the north in pursuit of the pencil, and you know the mysterious door floating in space, with no building around it. The door's quill and paper symbol turned out to be a clue, and you quickly found yourself inside Asmo's tower. The owner seemingly long gone, you found his diary, and the tale of the tragic loss of all of his possessions to a deck of cards. A deck you soon found and proceeded to draw from immediately. Blue fell to the ground, catatonic. Bob disappeared, leaving his possessions and clothes, raunchy, behind, and Mal faced a spectre and fell in combat.
So I just leveled up.
You were cursed for a time, but then the next two things you got were pretty good.
Worth it.
Yeah. Kumbooble was granted the ability to wish and used his power to discover that the copper compass could lead the rest of you to your companions. Following the compass, you found yourself back in the same cave system you'd previously found the Rip in space. The same hound, having previously run away when Blue took off his hat in Rook's Crossing, was back in the same spot too, but now the hound held the spirit of your companion Mal, who fell in combat. It's quite a complex plot. It's like Game of Thrones over here. After fighting your way through the now collapsed Temple of Tar, you restored Blue's spirit to his body, but his body was back at Asmo's tower. You then rescued Bob from the clutches of a night hag. Bob was naked. The mother of the hag you slew in the magical bakery. You also discovered a hidden cavity in the temple and a glowing green rock with Asmo's quill and paper symbol on it. Kumbooble touched the rock while hoping that things would just go back to normal, and his curse, inflicted upon him by one of the cards, was lifted. You found the Rip in space had closed when you tried to leave the temple, so you used the Heartstone you retrieved from the Night Hag's body to escape via the ethereal plane, finding yourself back in the material plane where the Rip used to be. You quickly met up with Blue, who tracked you to this cave and found a new sword in the process. Upon leaving the cave, you saw the black smoke rising from above the hollow. You investigated to find the whole town in ashes, the corpses of your friends, including Jen, R.I.P. Jen, littering the ground. Kirby, the mysterious stranger you're retrieving the pencil for, was still alive, with monstrous bodies surrounding his cabin. As he was telling you of new dreams he'd been having, seeing the pencil in a tower to the south, he was slain by an imp. You then dispatched a wave of undead creatures and planted a magical tree you'd been given by Jen's tribe to commemorate the gnome's friendship. On your way south, you stopped at the One-Eyed Git to get information on the tower to the south and the town of Amora nearby. Once you'd arrived at Amora, you visited the library to learn of the city's origins and the mysterious statue of a female in the city square. Kumbooble then stole from a tavern, and you all had to flee and camp outside the city walls, with the tower you were seeking now in your sights. You avoided the large telescope on your way to the tower and entered the structure. After defeating some traps, some monsters, some puzzles, you claimed some valuable treasures and met Orpheus at the top of the tower. He explained his theory that you were all in fact brought into existence by the pencil that he had, an object in his possession that could change reality in unpredictable ways. He'd won the pencil in a bargain with Asmodeus, the devil, and had been filling the void in his heart with its power ever since. Kumbooble was incensed at having his origins unmade before his eyes, so he wrote his past into the world. As the magic of the pencil took hold, the tower you stood in started to crack and fall. You realized the tower had been attacked by a mage accompanied by 2 wyverns in the sky. Orpheus quickly departed, shook his head. Oh no, he was shaken that his tower had been discovered and promising that they'd meet again. The wyverns kidnapped Kumbooble and the pencil, but you slayed the mage in the process. We rejoin your party as you're entering the Proving Grounds, a city to the east, surrounded by guarded checkpoints. And that's where we were.